Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is Sunday, July, oh my goodness, 17th. Almost forgot what day it was. I popped in a little bit early because I'm finding it to be easier to get into the live stream. And I'm going to take care of a little bit of business while we go early. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, and intuitive guide. Every Sunday morning, I'm here on YouTube to go over the astrological transits and to look at it from a intuitive and evolved perception and perspective. Meaning that while I use my knowledge of traditional astrology as a baseline, I also feel spirit encourages me and inspires me into evolved versions of the planets. And we have some very, very passionate energies coming up this coming week. And as we move further towards the end of July 2022. Welcome, Juan. Welcome, Natalia. Welcome, Gita. Small Wildflowers will not be with us today. She has been cootie-ized by the vid, and she is nurturing and taking care of herself. So we're going to send her lots of love and encouragement and good tidings. I don't know if that's all the right words I want to use, but there we go. That's how it's rolling. So let's kind of start and look at the transits. First thing I want to talk about a little bit. Good morning, McKenna. Good to see you. I should say good evening to you. First thing I kind of want to say is that we have Jupiter retrograde and we have Chiron retrograding. Both of these planets are in Aries, and while they are technically in a retrograde position, they are stationed. They haven't gotten any ramp up, any real movement in the backward motion yet. So they're holding 5 times more power. And in Aries, we're going to feel wounds regarding the self and how we assert ourselves. Jupiter is the belief system that we have. We also have Neptune holding retrograde at 25 degrees Neptune. What did I just say? Neptune holding in its retrograde pattern, 25 degrees Pisces. Oh my gosh, my brain. I'm still trying to get over the trauma of my elderly status yesterday, but we'll go into that later. So this is what I want to say. With Neptune retrograde in Pisces, holding at the 25th degree, that's the Aries degree. I feel as if Neptune is encouraging us all to try to come at our situations, and as things start to escalate in our passions and in our beliefs, to be compassionate. And I don't think this is about giving up our power to another dynamic as much as it is giving birth to the idea that if I want to be heard, maybe I can perpetrate more compassionate listening, not necessarily agreement. We have Chiron stationing until August. And we have, I believe it's around August 20th and maybe the 22nd. And we have Jupiter in this stationing retrograde until mid-August. It's going to be a very slow back ramp up. At the same time, we have Venus tomorrow, the 18th, moving into Cancer. And at the same time, we're going to have transiting Mercury as it's leaving Cancer, making an opposition to Pluto. I can't help but think of Venus as my material wealth, as my sense of security, and Mercury, the amount of information I'm getting, the effects of my everyday life. In Los Angeles, the news has been talking about potentially going back to indoor mask mandates. I say this because we're seeing sort of what feels like a step back in our everyday activities, making us feel vulnerable to outside influences. At the same time, Mars is booking it through Taurus and heading towards Uranus and the North Node. And while they don't quite meet up this week, the energy and this anxious energy and this feeling, and I say anxious because Mercury's opposition to Pluto is making me feel unsure about the information that I'm getting, and is the information true, and is it overly fear-based? This week, I feel as if people in my own personal life have been displaying very aggressive energies where it's unnecessary. And so I want to kind of say that an awareness to other people's unconscious aggression or anger or passion or assertiveness within their beliefs is not a call to arms. It's not a call to go in and try to convince someone else of a different way of thinking. It's really more about giving yourself the permission, Venus in Cancer, to self-nurture, to take care of, is engaging in this situation, because Pluto opposing Mercury, well, it's not going to be a long influence. It's going to be a powerful influence, because Pluto, rules things that are very challenging and things that are unseen and hidden and dark and toxic. And Mercury is information and what we speak and what we read and what we think about. And I've been saying this for a little while. I'm beginning to really start to rewrite Mercury in my mind, because Mercury run amok feels like the biggest challenging planet of them all. How do I calm my mind and align my mind to what I want to experience when the rest of me is being peppered with information that feels counterintuitive to what I want to experience? So this is where I think we get to go into the idea of Chiron and Jupiter being retrograde and holding a station, so that I can re-examine my beliefs, and if my beliefs are based on wounds, and how do I transform those wounds into the gifts that give me permission to nurture myself and believe that I am, through my vibration, through my focus, through my sense of trust in the universe, how do I align to representing a more abundant and vibrant and vital experience here on the earth plane? So Venus moves into Cancer today, and Mercury will move into Leo on the 19th. And then on the 22nd, the sun will move into Leo. So all of this feels a little bit like, and on the 19th, the sun will be making an opposition to Pluto as it goes into Leo. So when we're seeing any of these planets at the last degrees of Cancer making that opposition, so we may, on some level, look to the leaders in our lives, in our everyday lives, our the people who represent authority in some way, and there may be sort of this tug of war between where a light is being shown and where there is cracks and little dark spots. And how do I, Mercury now in Leo, want to talk about that? How am I expressing that? What am I thinking about? And Leo representing the heart and the spine, being the spine representing courage. Am I being courageous enough to say there's certain outside influences I have no control over? So what I can do is do my best to stay in alignment to a bigger picture of what I want for myself. And as I do that, I start to open up a dynamic for spirit to bring in experiences that support that. I really feel that the divine disruption that we're going through on this planet is not about trying to break up an old structure as much as it's a renovation. And throughout history, man has literally physically warred in order to dominate over what it perceives to be wrong or dark, and again, we're talking perceptions. So now I think in this ascended energy, this awareness of our thought process, and that our thoughts are things and things manifest into our physical experience, I believe that we're going to start demonstrating the compassion as Neptune continues its transit through Pisces. And the compassion is that rather than try to fight a war against what I perceive as darkness or evil, I'm going to tuck into me, nurturing me. How do I keep my alignment in what I want, my focus in what I want to experience, and thereby, rather than trying to tell you that you're wrong, I will demonstrate and show you by my manifestations and abundance during times that feel repressive and tightening. In the United States, we've seen tons of headlines about gas prices going up, rent prices going up. There's this polarization between, the haves and the have-nots. We've seen a lot of violence in the United States. Again, there's this Pluto dynamic happening in the United States chart, making an opposition to the natal Mercury there. So as Venus moves into Cancer, it's going to be making aspects to all of the points within the natal chart of the United States as well. So I believe that's going to have a ripple effect on us. And that's where we're going to start to feel the influence of Mercury's move into Leo and how we're processing information. So I think that's super important. If you're feeling anxious this week, be gentle with yourself, because I don't think this is naturally or organic within you. I think this is sort of a vibration of knowing that as we get closer and closer to Mars, the planet of war and aggression, getting very close to Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, of explosions, of thunder and lightning, and then the North Node, which makes us ravenous to experience a change. This is all going to be we may see things literally within the earth plane. There may be, earthquakes. There could be storms. I think I saw trending in Arizona, there was some flash flooding from monsoons. So this can be a bit of a ramp up for that. So be aware of that. I do think that the energies moving into the later part of this month are going to be quite erratic and unsettling. So what I'm going to do is, because we're sort of in the middle of, I'm going to start with Leo this week, because the sun is going to move into Leo, and we'll end with Cancer. I'm going to do one tarot card for each sign and then do the readings, and we'll go from there. Okay. So for our Leos, happy birthday, Leo. I hope that you're able to enjoy your birthday month. Our first angel, or our first tarot card, I apologize, is the Two of Swords. This represents the Libran energy of air, the cardinal air. And when I look at this, I feel like this character is in a very precarious state of balance, trying to hold things in a way that feels just and fair, as we see the swords are rather evenly keeled over both the shoulders, and at the same time there's a sense of burden for this. So I want to offer it this way, because this last particular week, a friend of mine that I've known for 7/8 of my life was just posting things on the internet that I was really kind of shocked by. And I say this because I feel like it's super important to hold a state of balance versus going to war or trying to convince anyone of anything that you may think is just or fair. I feel as if Leo, in its greatest energy and leadership, rather than looking to others and their behavior, will only focus on their emotional body here. Allow this crescent moon to actually flip and let Venus's move into Cancer. Let you focus in on, how am I nurturing myself in what I am absorbing on a peripheral level? What am I listening to? What am I, the news? I can't help but this last week, I started to kind of see a pattern with some of the way the commercials lay out. Starts with a drug commercial, then a few commercials later, there's another drug commercial, and there's usually 3 within every commercial break. This is disarming for me and alarming for me. So in my awareness of it, I'm doing my best to hold balance to see that as this tends to grow in what I feel is not supporting the body's well-being, there must reach a divine disruption in order for the system to change. So for my Leos, this week very much could be a precarious sense of balance and of feeling just and fair. And there is a part of you that's going to have to turn away from any energies that feel counter to that endeavor. It's not about judging whether they're right or wrong. It's more about holding space. And I kind of want to even go to the dynamic of Neptune's retrograde in Pisces at the 25th degree of Aries, having compassion for myself as I may struggle with my own peace of mind and sense of peace within. Okay, let's do a reading and see if we get some more detail as to where this sense of having to turn away from, or I want to say, I don't want to be ignorant, but sometimes when we look at a situation and turn it into a problem, the focus on the problem exasperates the problem. Good morning, everybody. If I didn't say hi to you, I'm saying hi to you now. I'm going to do a spread, and this is where on Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Desiree. The second is Indriel. The third is Merlina, and the final is Adriana. Leo, Desiree is being joined by the focus card. There we go. Indriel is being joined by the Queen. Merlina is being joined by the Frog, and Adriana is being joined by the Love card. So this very much plays to what I was saying earlier. So the Two of Swords is a Libra energy, cardinal air. Libra represents harmony, justice, and balance. And I feel as if for my Leos, this particular week may be a very strong pull to kind of shield yourself from informations that pull your focus away from what you want to create. We have Desiree saying conditions are not favorable, and there is the focus card. I am 100% convinced that all the physical action that we take has a limited or has a contained amount of manifestation abilities. It is our focus and our thoughts that are actually the platform for our physical action, which then has much more power and influence over a stronger manifestation. So as you may potentially struggle with your focus, struggle with your feelings of, as we're looking at Venus move into Cancer, this could be where Venus is feeling insecure about it. Will she be nurtured? Will she have enough money to make sure that her home is safe? The energy of Venus in Cancer has sort of this dynamic of a little bit of expecting other people to know how you need to be nurtured. You've lived with me for all these years. You don't know that I need this. And this may be a time for Leo that your expectation of other people's awareness is actually going to also annoy you or hurt you or make you feel as if you're off balance, because in the opportunity or the obstacles, Indriel, the light worker, and there's the Queen. And I want to offer this because one of the challenges of the Leo rising is to follow your heart, to trust your heart. A lot of what you express through the Leo energy is very personal, and the audience's applause is very important to the Leo energy because we want to feel valuable and feel embraced for what we create. So now, while there's this disruptive kind of energy going on as Mercury is moving into Leo, and I want to really talk about what is bothering me, I feel like this is a time to really start to focus in on what you want to receive, to be aware of your receptive energy. Every thought is two thoughts. There's the initial inspiration of the thought of something I want, and then there is the road to get there, which usually is riddled with energy of lack and of effort. And I think that at this time, this is a time when efforting will not necessarily be the most impactful, but rather being able to focus in on what it is. And I want to offer it this way because I don't want to go to the outcome. I want to go to the journey of manifestation. The enjoyment, the exhilaration of overcoming a challenge is unprecedented, really, for the human. And we often forget that because we're so busy focused on the outcome. But when we get where we want to go, very few take time to sit in that manifestation and really soak it in before they're on to the next thing. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, is as we can be aware of our focus and allow for the ebb and the flow, allow for the idea that sometimes I have to turn away and not look at what's going on around me in order to keep my balance. And then to realize that I'm a divine energy. And as I focus on, everything will come to me, everything will work out for me when I don't look outside of myself, but rather allow myself to connect with the bigger part of me that is also manifesting on my behalf. Because Merlina, on the face of the card, talks about indecision, talks about confusion, and the frog talks about emotional cleanup. But I always think of this because it talks about cleaning the house. In the dream world, the house represents the mind where we live. It represents mercurial things. So I believe what the angels are saying is that there is magic within your indecision as you learn and become more aware of when things are unfavorable, when the action, Leo's a fixed sign. Leo's a sign of leadership. So you may feel compelled to take action. And at the same time, there's an inner knowing that's saying action isn't the way to go. Receiving is the way to go. And so I feel as if this might be something that's coming up for you this week, because in the angel's advice, I feel like this is representing your thoughts. And again, too much information coming in, creating a bit of a fog. So now, as you allow this time of, you know what, I'm not going to push up against this rock. I'm not going to bang my head against the wall. There's Adriana leading you to the answers to your prayers. And this love is not about, I don't think it's about outside love. I think this is about feeling inner love, emotional love, because I've taken the cues of how to healthily, that's not really a word, how to focus on the outside world and the events in the outside world, and to know, like almost be able to measure. It's like thinking of information in the outside world and the fears that are pummeling us right now as a box of cookies. I can have one or two cookies and it's not too bad, but if I sit and I eat the whole box, I'm going to be sick and I'm going to be throwing up. So information this week for Leo, being deciphering as to whether it's inflaming your fears and inflaming your sense of feeling defeated, or whether or not you're going to allow yourself a little bit of the word is slipping my mind. I hate having the South Node transiting over my Mercury, my natal Mercury. It's really bugging me. But what I'm trying to say is having a discerning eye as to how much information is really healthy for you will help you step into a vibration of trusting spirit. That's where I'm going. All right. Now we're going to go on to our Virgos. For those of you that have just joined the room, zippity doo dang twang. Welcome to the room. Bev Grass, welcome to the room. Hi, just call me C. Hi, CJD 145 Club. Everybody else, welcome. For those of you that are new to my room, hi, Jules. I'm starting with the sun sign of the month. So we're starting with Leo. We just did our first sign, and then we're going to work our way through the zodiac, ending with Cancer. I'm going to do one tarot card and then a spread with the angel decks. to get more details. So we're going on to our Virgos now. Virgo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I want to offer this because Virgo is experiencing an opposition to Neptune. And anybody who's a late born Virgo, moon, rising, or any planets there will be feeling this opposition between Neptune and whatever's happening over there. I think this is a real opportunity to feel a sense of compassion for a journey, and also to sort of think of Neptune and the idea that Neptune, rules. Poseidon and Neptune is the god of the oceans. So I want to kind of allow myself this sort of ebb and flow. When we don't fight the ocean tides, we naturally rise to the surface. But when we struggle against them, we find ourselves constantly in the undertow and being churned around. So I want to offer that for my Virgos as you're coming up. You are ruled by Mercury. Mercury is moving into Leo, and it may make you want to really express whatever you're thinking, feeling, hearing, and again, we want to look and see if this is serving your greater version of what you want to experience. So Virgo, we have the Ace of Swords. This is the infusion of thought and the opportunity to be victorious over thought. And I don't think this is about a conquering, and I don't think this is a polarizing energy, but rather an ebb and a flow. And again, I want to kind of defer back to the idea of allowing information to come and to go, and not to hang my hat on anything until maybe I get confirmation about it. With Venus moving into Cancer, I feel like there's going to be a big focus on money and on enough money to make sure that my home life and what I feel is what I need to be nurtured and to take care of myself. Is there going to be enough? So with that going on, Virgo may inadvertently be feeling a sense of wanting to batten down the hatches, kind of make sure you've got all your material needs. I kind of feel like I'm like preparing for Y2K or something when I say this. And I feel like there's a part of you that while all of that activity may be beneficial, we want to be aware of our mental vibration as we're doing it. Because when we're making sure we have provisions and things within our home, in a way it's joyous, like you're preparing for a party, it has a very different vibration than when there's fear underneath it. And this is obviously a time in history and in our communities where we feel a lot of fear. So let's see where Spirit wants to help you be victorious over your thoughts. Virgo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Our first angel is Maya, the angel of schooling and education. We have Mystique in the opportunity or the obstacle, Fiona in the angel's advice, and Isabella in the final position. I always believe that Maya is my energetic teacher and educator. She's teaching me how my thoughts are things, how my focus creates things, and she gives me an opportunity to observe people in and out of alignment with what they want to experience. People who are focused on their challenges, you'll see they tend to experience challenge after challenge, and they tend to think, well, why is this happening to me? Now let's talk about the idea that Virgo rules the workplace by nature. It rules my health. And I believe that our mental health is a real important dynamic in order to continue to have a physical viable experience. So what is Maya teaching Virgo about when it comes to their thought process, or reminding about being authentic with your absolute truth? And I want to offer it this way, because the truth, I believe, is always something that I need to, I have an initial truth And then I feel like I need to sit back and re-examine that initial truth, because just like every thought is two thoughts, one is the inspired action and the other is the lack and how I'm going to get there. I feel like Virgo ruling processes and being, ruling employment, and really Virgo serving others. That's what the sixth house represents. And I feel like this is about, am I serving myself and fueling myself in a way so that I can serve others? And if I'm being too much in either my emotional body or in my head, am I somehow creating a storm? Can I have victory over my mercurial mind by, rather than being defaulting to one system, allowing for sort of watching our systems change and then allowing ourselves within our system to change. I don't know how to quite explain it, except years ago I bought this brown chair, and it was a big old Barcalounger. It was fake leather. I mean, I can't even really believe I bought it, to be honest with you. But at the time, I thought it was a great idea. And as the months went on and this big hunky chair was sitting in my house, I thought, I hate this chair. Why did I buy this chair? I bought that chair because the Libra in me wants to feel connected, and I'm extremely isolated, and especially from my family. And so when I bought the chair, I thought about my brother-in-law sitting in the chair, not me. And in 30 or 40 years, my brother-in-law's been in my life. He's probably sat in my house 3 times. And one of them was because he was trapped there because I got a drunk driving ticket and I had been in jail all night. God bless America. So the reason I say this is that I really think that this is about the courage to dig deeper and deeper into your thought process to find your deeper truth. And anywhere there's a sense of obligation or a sense of longing or a sense of being dutiful to somebody else or something else that is not aligned to you, gets to be re-examined in order to be victorious in this process, in focusing your thought. Mystique is being joined by the spider web. And I want to offer it this way because normally I see Mystique as the network, sees it as the internet or as a relationship of some kind. And while I believe that to be true, I think at this moment, this is an opportunity for you to become Mystique says, keep charging ahead, expect miraculous solutions. And I don't believe a miraculous solution is a default to the right or the wrong of something, the positive or the negative something, but rather the process of it. And once I understand the process, it gets into that web and it sticks. And so I feel like this is a cooperation of my mind, my heart, and my physical experience. And it's being offered to me as I understand that Spirit is giving me an education into my deeper motivations. Because Fiona is saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And here's the High Priestess. So this is really representing your intuitive body, and this is representing your mental process. And maybe Fiona is saying that you're incorporating the two. An awareness of your earthly human processing, mental processing is not to be judged or to be villainized. It's just a point of awareness so that you can stand in a more vibrational dynamic and call upon the other parts of your soul and the people and the guides that watch over you to help you experience something more aligned to what you want to live. And here we go. Isabella's saying, yes, the timing is right for Virgo to start to see the signs and the omens that their thought process is shifting into a place that is going to bring about more manifestations into the physical world of what you want. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about conscious Virgo energy. I'm not talking about unconscious Virgo energy. And when I say that, I mean, there are people walking around the planet born in September who are just like, yeah, that's a rock and there's a tree and I'm standing right here and this is all there is. And when I die, I'm worm food. I don't know that those people are what I'm talking about. I think I'm talking about the people that are standing in the Virgo energy that want to start to use their mercurial energy as truly a manifestation sword, as if it were Excalibur. And that is truly where your bounty and your victory lie. So as you are more willing to be authentic and not judgy, not critical of yourself, but rather, wow, here's a new awareness I didn't realize I was walking through, you'll start to see the signs and the omens of the shift. And I want to offer it this way because Virgo, being a sign that rules service, employment, health, this isn't about trying to teach anybody else about it, but allowing yourself a personal experience that then gives other people an observatory experience of how you have processed something, and thereby you are being of service, giving them an opportunity to look at their own mental process and where the focus is. Okay, let's go on to our Libras. I like seeing that little wrench by your name, Juan. It seems so appropriate. Should I share my little story since we're on Libra yesterday about my new title, my new I got to tell you guys this story because I'm still traumatized by it. So pardon me. Thank God for the time for Juan and doing the timestamps so that those that don't want to hear it. Yesterday, I was doing my second webinar on the contract, the planets in relation to the South Node. And we were on the last planet, Pluto, right? And I'm sitting here at the table and I see the police drive up, right? And I tell everybody on the webinar, oh, look at the police just drove up and we're talking about Pluto. Moments later, there's pounding on my door. At first I ignored it and then pounding again. And I get up and I go over to the door. There's 3 cops standing there. And they're like, what's your name? I go, Teri. They go, are you the only? They said, is there another elderly woman in this building? I went into shock. Another elderly woman? I can't get over the word elderly. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be traumatized by this forever. When I came back to the webinar, Juan was in the webinar and he laughed because I've never been called elderly, obviously, before in my life. At 62 years old, I don't know if I quite qualify, but it was funny to think that the idea of Pluto, we're talking about Pluto, the police show up, they're looking for somebody that's a criminal, and then they call me an elderly woman. It really spoke to what am I going to believe about myself? It was funny. Anyway, Libra, that's my story. Here is our card for you for this week. Young man. Okay, the 2 of Pentacles. We're seeing a bit of rhythm here with our tarot cards. The first being that 2 of Swords. This is about flexibility for our Libras. And I want to offer it this way because your ruling planet is going into Cancer and you may still feel a little uncertain about your material viability, your material security. And I think this is a time of being agile. This can also indicate a bit of travel. You can see that in the background. If any of you are traveling now, you might want to be very flexible and give yourself a little bit wider berth for your destinations, because there's something feels interruptive to me about this. So let's see. Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oops. Card just fell down. Let me go get it. Okay. I've had a little bit of a backache too. Don't know what's going on. Guess it has to do with my elderly status. Okay, Libra, here we go. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is patience, and that's the one that fell out. And I put it back in the deck. And normally when they fall out, I take it. So patience is important, and not because of what you think. The second is Vanessa. The third is Sonia. And the final is Serena. Oh my goodness, do I love my guides and angels. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Jules. Oh, I got to say this, the best thing about telling that story is everybody laughs over another, because that's the key word in this, I got to say. So it really is funny. Okay, Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Patience is being joined by the frog. Vanessa's being joined by the joy card. Sonia's being joined by the eagle. And Serena's being joined by the focus card. Okay. So our tarot card this week, and I want to say this because the energies in the cosmos, the astro weather is heating up. And as Mars gets closer and closer to Uranus and the North Node, there's going to be an acceleration of aggression. I'm going to say it. And I believe on some level, this may be aggression through words, people being volatile in how they're expressing themselves on social media. So being mindful of that and whether or not you want to engage, because I think especially for Libra, this is about being flexible, going back and forth. And also I want to say this too, because while I'm addressing sort of the outside influences, we're going to be getting a lot of information about financial insecurities. We're going to hear a lot more about the price of things going up or scarcity about something here. And I feel as if we sort of have to take all this information in with a grain of salt. There are some astrologers that have been talking about, again, having provisions in the home, preparing for a time of scarcity. And while that may be a potential, I also think that there are always energies that are going to represent the opposing dynamic. So as we are flexible and aware of our own emotional bodies, as we go back and forth about our resources, about money, about food, about a home over our head, clothes, being able to pay for my kids' college or my dog's, vet bills, whatever the case may be. Because right now, the frog is representing your mental process. And that's where everything starts. That's where our stress starts. That's where we think about our stress. It's why I think that Mercury is becoming the biggest malefic for me. Because Mercury just seems so, neutral. But Mercury can be, when you listen to anybody who's stressed out and freaked out and in a bad place, it has to do with their thoughts and what they're speaking about, what they're absorbing on the media. So patience is a time to observe your own dynamic, your own energy. And I think this is about observing what you are seeing, but having a flexibility about it. Having when I say flexibility, it's almost as if when you get this information, you start to gather that information, being aware of, am I stacking this up on the side of, oh no, things are really going to start to slip down? Because Vanessa's saying, are you going to have faith or fear? And there's the joy card. And again, while there is a good potential that a lot of people are going to experience challenges in all sorts of ways, there is those of us that have been walking a conscious path that now get to sit in that, on the vista of that consciousness, and look out over the landscape of our lives and really decide whether we believe we are in danger or not. And I'll put it this way, because over this last month, a few weeks ago, I got a, rent increase. I talked about that. It was rather significant. And I'm 100% convinced in 360 or 40 days now, there's going to be another one, and it's going to be even more significant. Now, I could look at that mountain and I could be anticipate a lot of stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit in faith and joy and say, have I been standing in an energy that supports a higher vibration here? Yeah, I do believe I am doing that. So I'm going to continue as a Libra to connect with my guides and angels. The eagle represents the connection to the angelic realm, and so does Sonia. And right now, Spirit will bring you evidence into your material experience as you go back and forth between the physical world scaring the crap out of you and the eternal world reminding you that everything ebbs and flows, and that if the balance we seek must come through divine disruption. People don't shift naturally. They don't look at something and say, this system is out of whack, we need to change it. They say, this system is out of whack, it's too expensive to change it. So here we go. So, Serena is here. She's about financial abundance. And I'm telling you, this is so wonderful for me because, again, there is my focus. And my focus is now not to be on my material security, but to allow myself the ebb and the flow of being scared and then feeling confident, being scared and feeling confident, and stretching as best as I can for serenity in the process. There's more here going on. There's more here than I can personally see. And am I going to attach myself on everything that I am, the snippets of information I'm picking up from the news, from Yahoo trending, from TikTok, from Instagram, blah, 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 all of that. Because I feel like for Libra, remembering that Venus rules you. Venus is moving into Cancer. She could feel a little insecure here. I'm going to say it. And so this is where you get to dig deeper and say, but in fairness, I know that I represent fairness. So I'll be on this seesaw of indecision, of emotional insecurity, but then I'm going to stretch for my connection to spirit. And I'm going to do things that I enjoy. And I want to offer this too, because you don't have to take a trip across the world to feel joy. Allowing yourself the privilege of a good nap, a walk, sitting and watching something on television, or doing the crossword puzzle. Anything that allows you the privilege of feeling a sense of disconnection from outside stimulus. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios. What's going on here? I agree. I like this. I'm 63 and proud. I look, CC Pups, exactly. I was shocked when this guy called me elderly. And I'm pretty sure that while cops, they're not going to laugh at each other in front of a person. I'm pretty sure when they get in the car, the guys were like, that was really good. Because you should have seen the guy's face. Well, he looking at my face when he called me elderly, my face dropped down to the ground. I was like, what? Who are you talking about? Elderly? I mean, when I think of elderly, I'm like thinking like 90, 80. So it's funny. It should be funny in the playback too, I would think. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to our Scorpios. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What is your tarot card for this week? This is the Nine of Wands. And the first thing I thought is don't defend your wounds. Don't defend where you've been, regardless of whether or not they are valid. Taking action on defending our wound, or in some respects, I like that this is a 9, because the 9 is the culmination of a cycle before we go into the 10 and the new beginning. And the wands represent inspired thought. They represent the fire signs. There's always growth at the top of the wands. So whatever wound there has been, Scorpio, you have an opportunity to allow the south node, as it transits your sun, your moon, your whatever planets you have there, to look and say, am I carrying a story I don't want to carry forward? Or am I defending myself in some way based on something I don't need to do anymore? And I don't want to say that this is not to negate the experience. It's more about letting the experience lie where it belongs in Pluto's transformation there of it. Thank you, Katerina. I really would rather be 63 than 36 now, because when I was 36, I was still emotionally freaked out all the time. And I had Pluto conjunct all my personal planets. So now that I'm going through the squares, I feel like, I don't know what other astrologers would say, but having the conjunction throughout most of my life of Pluto makes me feel like there was a fusion of Pluto within my planetary energy. Now the square is asking me if I have actually incorporated that transformation. So the other day, when my friend, and I don't know if I want to call him my friend anymore, because I'm really we're not aligned in how he shows up in the world. I don't like the judginess of how he drops black and white into things. So when he attacked me on Facebook, I thought about, did I want to go back and school him for my opinion? Or did I want to ice him out? That would be Pluto, trusting my heart and not giving anything to him. He went back 3 different times trying to bait me. Then the next day he posted something about California again. And I felt him trying to bait me into an argument. And I wouldn't let it happen. And I feel very, very proud of myself right now because of that. And so this is where the squares can work for you. This is where Pluto can transform you. So I want to offer Scorpio, looking at where you could potentially be defending a story that you don't need to defend anymore. It is what it is. It happened, and you do have a wound, but now you can transform from it or through it, is what I want to say. Good morning, Dusk. Good to see you. Good morning, Arthur Space. Always great to see you in the room. Here we go. Let's look at Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Again, I started at Leo today. We're going to end with Cancer, and then we're going to continue this cycle to make sure all the zodiac signs get their turn to be number 1. Small Wildflowers has been cootie-ized by the vid, and so she is self-care today, taking care of herself and nurturing her physical body. Okay, Scorpio, Archangel Raphael is in our foundational position. Then we have the Patience card. Then we have Maya. And then we have Akasha, the teacher. That's funny, Juan, when you got your bifocals. It's weird, these little markers that come in, when you're a kid, you're like, I can't wait to be 21. And then when you're older, you're like, please card me, please card me, please card me. That elderly thing, though. I'm really enjoying the reaction of other people when I tell the story, because they guffaw in laughter and they all get it, because it wasn't the elderly word. It was another elderly woman. Okay. Scorpio, Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Patience is being joined by the Queen. Maya is being joined by the Truth card. And Akasha is being joined by the Water Fairy. When I think about Pluto and I think about the dark side of Pluto, there is that criminal behavior. There is the victim and the victor. There is the perpetrator. And how does all of that align? I feel as if for those that have been walking a path of stretching to be conscious and co-creators in their life, this is a time to really start to dig deep as Pluto makes this opposition. It's leaving Capricorn. It's still hanging out at those last degrees, but those last degrees, to me, especially the 27th degree, is a master degree of thought. It represents Gemini. Wait, let me think. 25 Aries, 26 Taurus, 27 Gemini. I messed up a few weeks ago on something, but it was okay. So as I want to offer this, I feel like Scorpio, of all the signs, has such potential to be such a powerful leader, because it sees so deeply into the psychology of the human experience. So when it's transformed to a vibration from Spirit's point of view, it uplifts. So when you use your wound, rather than to defend your position and to prove that you've been hurt or that you've been slimed, now you have this opportunity to have this huge epiphany that brings in balance for yourself, which makes you feel so much more powerful in your own life. I don't even want to say positive or optimistic. I feel like this is powerful. It's almost as if it's kind of like that idea I was telling you earlier, being Mars ruled, and Mars is the co-ruler of Scorpio. I have a tendency to want to go to war. I want to go to war with words. I want to blurt out my opinion. And when I first started experiencing my Pluto squares to my ascendant and to my sun, I was unaware, and I was doing that. I was schooling people in ways they weren't going to listen to me. Now I have an awareness of how I'm showing up, And I feel like it's a more powerful awareness. And it isn't for other people, it's for me to feel inspired in my own life. So you have an opportunity, Scorpio, to have an epiphany that as you turn what's been toxic into that manure that makes your garden grow, because the queen is here. And there's the patience card. And the queen is about fertility. And you know what makes a garden grow the most is putting poop on it. If you just leave dirt there, it grows okay. But when you add the manure, which is poop, which is what comes out of the toxic area, you see how things grow. So this is what I want to offer you. There's something about your wound that is going to bring bounty and benefit to you as you, from I don't want to call it, I want to call it a vista point of view. I want to take your evolution and your awareness, and I want to put you on the vista of your life. And I want you to look out on the landscape and see how much you've created as a result of what you've walked through that initially felt as if a wound that you had to defend your property, but you don't need to anymore. You don't need to defend it because you are more powerful now than you ever were before, because you understand the psychology of your own being. And that psychology allows you to receive. And here it is, digging down to your deepest truth, because the thing about the 8th house is it's a commingling. So oftentimes we see, as we moved from the 7th house into the 8th house, this out of balance dependency because of money or sex or of an illusion of someone having power over us. Now Scorpio gets to see a bigger truth of things and to learn from that truth in a way that, again, brings a receptive energy. I receive bounty. I receive wisdom, not from the good things in my life, but from the challenges, because here is Akasha, the teacher, and here is the emotional body. And I want to offer it this way because this is where I go down to the Platonian depths of psychology. I can't help sometimes but get the image of Peter Falk in his role as Columbo when I think of Pluto and I think of Scorpio. And he was kind of this unassuming guy. People kind of thought he was kind of not really all together there. And yet he was constantly extracting information from the unsaid and the unseen with the naked eye. And in doing so, he transformed these cases, and he was able to be a super sleuth, you know? So here I feel like this is a real transformation for Scorpio as they're digging into the idea, am I bringing a wound? Am I defending myself? Am I inadvertently coming from a place of lack of power or having to feel like I'm obligated to give up my power in this situation? Or am I standing in a place of what's true to me and then letting the universe start to illuminate a path that teaches me to trust my emotional body? And that is again where I kind of want to go down to this digging down to the deeper truth. There's that superficial truth that our mind thinks we want, and then there's the deeper truth that our heart wants. And sometimes they get confused. All right, let's go on to our Sagittarius' rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I will say it just unabashedly. Feel free to hit that like button. Always like those likes. Hi, Carly. Welcome to the room. Hi, Lucy Rose. Good to see you here. All right. What is our tarot card for Scorpio? Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Scorpio. It's Sagittarius. Hi, Sean. Look at the 2 of Cups here. And we're going into the season of Leo. So Saggy, could there be relationship coming up for you? Could there be the cup of love being offered? Could be. But I want to offer this too, because when we see that lion with the wings on him above, everything is coming from your heart and really rising above to see things from a perception that is greater than just the appearance of this cup. Okay, because we don't know whether these cups are full or empty. Let's look and see. This is for Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And as I suddenly say that, I feel like when the South Node was going through Sagittarius, there was an opportunity for beliefs to be aligned, for the maybe the erosion or the letting go or the awareness of some beliefs that might have been interruptive to what you wanted. And so in that process, now you're better able to receive a cup from another imbalance. Well, if you have Arthur's space Jupiter at 25 degrees Pisces, you've got Neptune, transit Neptune conjunct your Jupiter right now. Huge, huge, because it's holding station there for the longest time. It's already been there for weeks, and it's going to be there for weeks more. I think it might be almost 6 weeks that it's going to hold that. I don't know. Don't quote me. I got to look it up again, but that's very powerful because Arthur's space, I think that this is an opportunity for you to, Neptune's compassion and Neptune's spirituality. And then you take the ideas of spirituality and Jupiter as the teacher and the expander. There's a lot of potential for benefit and for manifestation there. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius, what is the Two of Cups bringing? Is it a boyfriend, girlfriend? Is it a love relationship? What are these two people offering each other in the way of a cup? Well, a minor sextile is not a. I've got Saturn sitting on my Chiron, opposing my Uranus. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. My chart is full of crazy transits, and they never stop. It's like my whole life is crazy transits. Okay. Maya, schooling and education for Sagittarius about the cups of love. Opal is sitting in the opportunity or the obstacle. Patience is in the angel's advice. And Fiona is in the final position. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure I signed up for a master class. And when I get back on the other side, we're going to have a chat with my guides because I know that I'm a very forceful energy. So I'm pretty sure that I was arguing with them. They were like, Teri, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? This lifetime might be a little rough. And I'm like, I could do it. It's only 90 years, 100 years. I could do it. I could do it. Maya is being joined by the restriction card. Sagittarius. Opal is being joined by the B card. Patience is being joined by the dog. Oh, this is about love. And then Fiona is asking or is being joined by the joy card. I'm going to say this for my Sagittariuses because there's plenty of you that might already be in a relationship. There's some of you that may not be in a relationship. And there's some of you that may be in contractual relationships that are professionally focused. Because I want to offer it this way. I think it's time to pay attention to how you receive the cup of love, because here in the foundational position, Maya is talking about schooling and education, and there's the restriction card. And the restriction card can be literally like a restriction, or it could be a pause. That's how I look at it. And here is schooling and education. I feel like if Sagittarius has been in or entertaining intimate relationships with people that were like iffy, or people that they were like, well, I like them, it's okay. Then if it jettisoned out, it's time for Sagittarius to be a little bit like, it's okay. I have something to learn. I'm not supposed to settle. I'm not supposed to settle in this lifetime for something that's iffy. That's the old structure. That's what's happened before when people have accepted the cup of love from someone that was okay because everybody else was getting a cup of love, supposedly. So this is what I want to say. Opal talks about your children being safe on heaven and earth, and God is watching over them. I think that child is the inner child that wants to feel loved, Sagittarius. And now here's your being energy. This is really about going in and digging deep into the idea that, maybe every once in a while I want to sort of go into a relationship with someone I know that isn't quite aligned. But now I know that Spirit is saving me from myself. That while I have and want to feel and experience love, sometimes I entertain relationships that allow me the dramatic circle and cul-de-sac of love. but isn't really aligned. And now Spirit's holding space as I catch up with my victory, because here is the love card and patience. And this is about, to me, when I see this card, it's about the sincerity of someone walking towards me, the sincerity of their love, the sincerity. We are on Sagittarius, you guys. So if you're lost, I apologize. We're on Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. So here in the angel's advice is Spirit asking you to actually take an inventory of if you are being sincere and if you are being loyal to yourself while the cup of love is being offered, because Spirit is holding space for you to actually fulfill that dream in its entirety, rather than what you may have been experiencing, which is a restricted or limited experience of love. Because in the final position is the joy card, and Fiona saying, now that you've asked God and the angels, be open for help to receiving. So this is where I want to say, I truly believe that during these very challenging times in the world, as we transform the structures that we have perpetrated for eons without awareness. I acutely remember being in my late 20s, early 30s, and everybody flipping out to get married and have babies. And so many of these couples didn't even get along very well as boyfriend and girlfriend. And then they moved into the dynamic of marriage, not because of the quality of the relationship, but rather because of the dynamic around them. So I believe that Spirit is saying to Sagittarius, there's a quality of relationship coming, and you have been learning not to settle for what is just limited in love. And now Spirit is not only supporting you, it's encouraging you to start to see the victory in your own putting your foot down, to be sincere to yourself about what you need and what you desire in love, because it is coming. And when you feel this connection to Spirit, this joy that you feel will not be just for you. It will be the platform with which you teach others. You won't mean to teach them, but you will, because you'll be saying, I just held out. I just didn't settle for something that wasn't really aligned. And the thing about it is that during that process, there'll be a period of am I doing something? Are my standards too high? Am I setting myself up for a fall? I think that's where the real brave part comes in, and where Spirit starts to teach you about the outside world telling you that you can only have so much. The days of that are over. And that's what's breaking up. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns. My goats. Thank you, Sean. I think that loving yourself is really just being able to love all the nooks and crannies. I started referring to myself as fabulously flawed, because perfection is something I'm never going to achieve and don't even want to be honest. And when I think about the intention that I walk this earth, it is truly to walk a loving path. But am I always in that energy? No. That's where I go into the fabulously flawed idea. All right, Capricorn. All right, here we go. Hey, Nicole, welcome to the room. All right, Capricorn. This kind of feels a little bit interesting to me, because with Pluto transiting your house right now, you may feel like there's some guy racing through with a sword trying to cut everything off and kill everything. Okay, just slow down. First thing I want to say about this card for my Capricorns, slow down. Slow down your mental process, slow down your physical process, and give yourself a chance to recalibrate what's happening in your life. And I want to offer it this way, because we know Saturn rules you, and by nature, Saturn is going to be repressive and refer back to history. But in this particular energy, feels like it's coming at you. And I feel like if I slow down, like I want to offer it this way. When I look at the Knight of Swords, swords are the teenagers of the group. This is going to be a teenager in the air element. So there can be a lot of very harsh mental energy coming towards Capricorn. And I feel like if I stood still as a Capricorn, this guy's going to bolt by me. So maybe I need to take a moment and not react to everything, not get too Capricornian in the rules and the regulations and the feelings of oppression. That's kind of how I want to put it. The Knight of Swords to me really is kind of hard, because I feel of all the tarot cards, this one really indicates just blowing out this information, saying things, and not really bothering for 1 second to even think how it's going to land on somebody else. So if for some reason you are a Capricorn and you're perpetrating this energy, be aware. Well, let's see about being aware, because it may not serve you. I feel a little bit like, as I talk to Saturn, and I do often, because Saturn, I really do believe, rewards for endurance. And endurance is the willingness to look at my co-creation rather than my victimization of a situation. Okay, our first angel is Rochelle. The second is Desiree. The third is Chantal. And the final is Maya. Okay. I think I'm getting a picture here. Rochelle is being joined by the Joy card. Desiree is being joined by the Communications card. Chantal is being joined by the Joy card. I'm sorry, by the Hawk. And Maya is being joined by the Death card. Okay, Capricorn. I want to offer this because, again, when I address you all, I know we're all fabulously flawed human beings here, but I still believe that each and every one of you sits on a vista of your own life and has this opportunity to really observe your own evolution, your own intention to be a conscious being walking through this planet. And while Capricorn can feel a little bit rough, that, I could be a little riddled with my fears. I could be a little riddled with my obligation to duty and to what's expected of me. I think that this night right now is really is in reference to this. Rochelle is the Joy card. Rochelle is about your heart, Capricorn. Rochelle is about what you want in the way of feeling harmonious. And this feels very contrary to me. So you may be feeling during this time of Pluto, if you're a late-born Capricorn, you may be feeling really hard times with Pluto being all over your moon, all over your ascendant, all over your sun, and if you have any planets there. But this is the time to tuck into your heart space and your joy space. And I want to offer it this way, because you may enjoy cleaning your house. Doesn't matter if you enjoy it, because something's going on with your self-talk. Something's going on with your self-talk. And you may be charging through your own life at this point, although this could be another character. But if you've got Pluto conjunct anything, this might be the two sides of yourself. The one that's super impatient, the one that doesn't care how you feel. That's the flip side of Capricorn. Saturn doesn't really care how you feel. It wants the job done. What's your self-talk? Because Desiree is saying conditions aren't good with your self-talk. Now we go to Chantal in the Angel's Advice, and we see the Hawk. This is love. And I don't think this is outside love, although it could potentially be. But I think this is, how do I both give and take and receive love? And am I able to see love when it comes my way? Recently, I've told you guys a couple times, when my rent went up, I had a meltdown. I was also put myself on a huge financial stretch when I bought my new computer, making the payments super high. And the whole thing collided into my energy field as lack. Am I on the other side of that? Meaning I've got most of it paid off. But what I realized was that I was giving into this dynamic of feeling less and less and less and less. And the idea of that made me not be able to see when Spirit was giving me signs and opens that I was being taken care of, and that what I was doing was not showing self-love. And so my point was this, is that I took certain actions, and I would literally look at my calendar, and where a year earlier I'd be like, oh, everything's good. Look at me. I got plenty of appointments. This time I was looking and I'm like, is that enough? Is it enough? Am I going to? And this is not just a tide within myself, but it's a tide within the world. Now we add the Capricorn Pluto dynamic on top of it. Pluto transiting Capricorn has been asking Capricorn for years, for 12 years, since 2008. Are you following your heart? Are you following your joy? Or are you charging through your life in what's been expected of you? And are your thoughts in some ways taking no prisoners? So now it's really an opportunity for you to learn and transform. Pluto. And I don't even need to pull another card, because they're asking you to transform into, it's important to me. My joy is important to me. My sense of peace of mind is important to me. And if on some level, my sense of peace of mind is attached to how you perceive my service to you is, because ultimately Capricorn rules authority and government. And what is government? It is supposed to serve the people. So I want to offer this. I think during this next week, before we speak again, we're going to see on the 19th, that's just a couple days from now, the sun and Pluto in a tug of war between dark and light, as the sun goes from Cancer into Leo. We're going to see Mercury wanting to roar about what it's learning and what it's thinking. And then we're going to see Venus feeling a little bit tightened up in Cancer, feeling a little vulnerable. So the best way to work through all those is to start to really practice. I know, Lucy Rose. I know. I'm just talking about concepts. This is about following your heart. And I think there's a little unraveling to do for Capricorn, meaning when I follow my heart, you're going to have to ask the question 2 or 3 times. What does my heart want? Well, my heart wants, and then you may see some sort of obligation threaded through that, or some sort of perception of in relation to another. So go through it one more time, because I think that this is about the transformation of everything that you've been learning, because Capricorn for me has been going through the transformation of feeling more love and demonstrating more love. And that is through, we're still leaving the Saturnian foundation and framework in place. We're not changing who Saturn is. Saturn is always going to hold your feet to the fire. He's always going to ask you to perpetrate energies beyond your physical comfort. And at the same time, when you've aligned that effort to what really speaks to your heart, you effort in a very different way. So that's where I'm going. All right, let's go on to our Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. Our tarot card is the 8 of Pentacles. This is, to me, a card of detail. It's a card of fine tuning. It's a card where my material resources have been handled and amassed. And now I'm going in and I'm sort of really kind of putting in that extra little oomph. I could be digging deeper to make the stars more prominent. I could be adding something ornate. But whatever it is about mastering your skills and going in. And this is also mastering in the material world. So let's see what's going on with Aquarius, because you've got Saturn transiting retrograde in your house. Saturn, your co-ruler, by the way. Thank you, Jenny B. All right. For our Aquarius, Grace and Antoinette is our first angel. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Seraphina. And the final is Bethany. Okay, so this is very powerful for me, because now what we're talking about is looking at the detail of how Aquarius is taking care of themselves in the respect of I think I'm going to a mental process. Let's see. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Fear card. There we go. Archangel Michael's being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. Seraphina is being joined by the Lady of the Lake, and Bethany's being joined by the Truth card. So we know that Aquarius rules revolution. It rules liberation. It rules anxiety. And when things are afoot, when there are changes around us and we're not direct influence over them, it can create a sort of a sea of anxiety. And now we go back to the details here, because I want to offer this. I really believe we all should go on a media diet of some kind, and not a mass diet, but one that is specific to how you respond to what you hear and what you take in. I have a real reaction to those drug commercials. I think I've got I know I have a 12th house South node, which rules experimentation, research, hospitals, insanity, insane asylums. And I'm pretty sure I've been put in them in the past, and I don't want to have anything to do with any of those things in this life. So now is about time for Aquarius to have compassion for the fears that may be stoked as Saturn goes retrograde in your natural house. If you're a moon, this could very much be also anxiety producing, because you may be looking too much at the details of your material resources and feeling concern or fear about them. Because here is Archangel Michael, and in this particular place, he talks about courage, and it's courage for a rebirth. And a rebirth is involving the truth. And the truth is really not something that's a general truth, but a truth to ourselves, a truth to how we process things. Again, when I see Excalibur, I'm always going to think of the swords as an element of thought. Thoughts are things that we concentrate on, we focus on, and then we speak about them, and then we manifest them. So now when I have compassion for my fears, I'm saying to myself, what does fear want to teach me? Because that's what Saturn rules, right? So what am I afraid of? I'm afraid I'm not powerful enough. I'm afraid I'm not aligned enough. I'm afraid I'm not a strong enough co-creator. I'm afraid that the world is ending. I'm afraid that there's going to be a depression. I'm afraid there's going to be this, blah, 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 blah. So now we realize I can do nothing about any of that. I cannot take one physical action that will change that. So what can I do? I can sit in the courage of a rebirth to a bigger and better idea of how we process our challenges. Because this is Seraphina offering a happy change to our family. And here is the absolute truth, but it's truth based on my self-responsibility. Because one of the things I think about Aquarius is that when you're feeling super anxious or you've got that nervous energy, there's something about your truth that you're not acknowledging. Sometimes Aquarius, because it thinks about so innovatively and it represents humanity in a bigger picture, that sometimes getting down to that more detail of your own feelings can get muddied. Because this is about you personally taking care of you. Bethany is about self-care, and there's a truth card. And I feel like the truth card is, am I letting my fears stop me? Am I taking action based on a fear and then realizing sort of this wobbly experience that then is supporting my fears again? Because what I have said to Spirit lately is, I'm stuck in my human body and I have these fears. I'm trying to move my focus, and I'm seeing you giving me signs and omens that you're supporting my higher vibration, and yet I still can't take it in. I'm not being able to anchor it inside of me to feel that comfort of this happy change. I'm still seeing it with my brain. So if we think about the idea that Aquarius is ruled not only by Saturn in ancient times, but by Uranus, which is the higher octave of Mercury. Again, this idea of my thoughts. And I can't help but say sometimes when we look at the details of things, we are actually projecting something into the future. So the greatest thing, more than love, the greatest vibration, the most warm, fuzzy feeling is compassion. It's not love, because oftentimes the human only loves what it feels aligned to. Compassion loves what it's not aligned to. So right now, if you're not aligned to your fears, this is your opportunity, Aquarius, to say, where is there false evidence appearing real? Where is my opportunity to have compassion as I face everything that I may potentially fear, as I look at those teeny weeny little details, and instead of giving into them, I rise to my greatest truth. You know what? That ain't going to happen. As I've aged, every single person in my life has coached me to get on Medicare, to have more medical insurance, to everything to do with my physical body needs to be supported. I believe that while insurance is a really great thing, it's a bet on a bad thing. I'm doubling down that something bad is going to happen and that insurance is going to save my ass when it happens. This is my personal example, everybody. So what I do is I say to God and the angels, thank you for making me an Aries rising. Thank you for making me feel strong within my body, even if I have never before, because I know that my actions, Teri Hunter right here, and how she fuels her physical body is going to be the truth with which she ages upon. So the person over here that's experiencing something, while they're giving me information that may seem wise and sage, I have to have compassion as to whether or not I jump on the bandwagon, because I don't want to operate on fear. I want to acknowledge fear as a opportunity to feel empowered, to feel more vital versus being pulled underneath. That's where I'm going. So, Aquarius, look into the details of things. Every fine tooth comb this week, because again, as we see Venus move into Cancer, I feel like Venus is going to get a little insecure about money, about homeland. I feel like Mercury is going to start to roar in the middle of Leo about all the things that are going on, especially if it's oppressing us from our enjoyment. And we have, I believe tomorrow, Pluto and Mercury are going to be making an opposition to one another as Mercury moves out of Cancer and into Leo. So we really could feel this push-pull and this tug of war within ourselves. And that's where we go in and say, am I fueling the tug of war with the details of things I don't like? Okay. Alrighty. Let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I am, for those of you that just joined the room, I am not at the end of the readings. I started at Leo and I'm working my way to Cancer. So we've got 5 more to go. I'm trying to be fair to everybody, so everybody gets their turn to start first. Hi, Sun Love. You're new in the room. Welcome. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you. Did I say hi? I said hi to Lucy Rose, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and thank you for my bracelets, my little earrings. Okay, let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, Stephen, good to see you. Welcome back. All right, we have Pentacles. This is assessment. This is looking at what I've been growing, looking at what I've been nurturing in my garden, and am I going to harvest am I going to actually pluck my harvest? Am I going to let them grow further? Am I going to change directions? What am I going to do now? So let's see what Pisces is contemplating right now in the way of changing directions. I have a tomato plant that I'm growing this year, and the tomatoes are not very big. Well, I've got 2 different kinds, but the red ones are they're little ones, and they turn red rather quickly, but they're still quite hard. And I'm always trying to decide if it's a good time to harvest them. And when I realize about pulling them, I also am aware that I'm used to eating tomatoes out of the market. And so my taste buds have been dumbed down, and my expectation of what a tomato should look like when it's ready to harvest may not be completely true anymore. And I say that because I've gotten used to a mass-produced product, and when I grow my own tomatoes, there's a big difference going on. And so I get to assess things from a different point of view from how I created it. That's where I'm going with this. All right, Pisces. Let's see, because we've got Neptune holding 25 degrees in your house. If you're a late-born Pisces, like my little Lucky is, he's had Neptune sitting on his sun for a while. Watching my dog go through his transits too. That's fun. Whoop. All right, Pisces. Our first angel is Rochelle, the angel of my heart. Then there's Yvonne, my angel of vulnerability. Then there's Athena, about asserting myself, and Crystal saying there's more on the horizon. All right, so we might be assessing things from a little bit of fear. Let's see. Because I want to encourage you all not to look to the outside world for the viability of your manifestation, but to rather look on the inside world for the viability of your manifestation, for what you want to experience. And then think of yourself as a divine entity offering others an opportunity to join you in your alignment. Rochelle is being joined by the communications card. Hello. Yvonne is being joined by the fire fairy. Athena's being joined by Merlin, and Crystal's being joined by the earth fairy. This is fabulous. So here we have Rochelle, and I hate to say my favorite angel, but she is, because as I honor and follow the guidance of my heart, prosperity is coming to me. And this is so much bigger than just money. This is an actual feeling of support from the universe, regardless of the outside circumstances. I know my vibrational alignment. So I'm going to assess how I am communicating with myself, because as a Pisces, I'm going to have compassion as I come from my heart. There's a little challenge with Pisces because it's a mutable sign. It rules the 12th house, which is a house that is considered a house of loss. It's where we leave the physical and go back into the collective, or we lose our mind and we put it in an insane asylum. But it's also a place of deep reflection. And as we harness the information that comes through our heart into the universe, we start to feel less vulnerable and more powerful in our co-creation. And I say that because here is Athena and Merlin. Merlin is magical. I'll never see anything but karmic balance and justice when it comes to Merlin, because he understands his vibration. And as you lovingly assert yourself, Pisces, and you're vulnerable to the idea of what you want to create, you start to bring what was only imagined, what was only fantasy, into the physical world. You know, we talk about Pisces and Neptune as wearing rose-colored glasses sometimes. And I think that that's in relation to a very Saturnian feeling, meaning looking at Saturn from a very human perception. But when I think of the idea of that, my musings, my what appears to be fantasy, my vision boards are actually my heart leading the way, then I'm a much more powerful co-creator. And the 12th house becomes a house where I can bring into the material what was only imagined and fanciful in the mind. And I feel like this is an opportunity to start to shift this Piscean energy from something that feels a little bit too vulnerable to outside sources. I can't help but think of Pisces as the only sign that has no protective shield. It's just the two little fish. And when some big guy comes up and wants to eat them, their only option is to swim, and to swim fast. You know, the crab has its shell, the Scorpio has its stinger. So as you assess, am I following my heart? Am I looking at the details of what my heart, because I've amassed a lot. That's what this is telling me. There's bounty to be had here. And now I get to continue to follow my heart and know that I'm going to walk a vulnerable path whenever I'm following my heart, because the outside world will tell you what's in your heart will never be as powerful as what is in your wallet, or what is you're driving, or what you're living in. That's not true, because your assertion is where magic happens. Your assertion towards what you love. And then you take from what was only in the ethereal world, the thought world, and you bring it into the physical. All right. Let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, so Aries, you've got, Chiron stationing to go. I mean, technically, I believe Chiron is going retrograde on the 19th, but not getting a lot of traction just yet. And Jupiter retrograding on the 28th, same day as the full moon. Not a lot of traction. So we're seeing them holding their degree. And if I remember correctly, Jupiter's at 8 degrees. That 8 degree is a Scorpio degree. Transformation in thought. Look at my hair's getting gray. All right, let's look at your tarot card, Aries. Oh. Okay, Aries. There you go. The devil represents Capricorn. It represents an energy of which I imprison myself. It appears that there's something big and looming over me, but is it? Because on some level, that devil is lighting the torch of this gentleman's little tail here, giving him an inspiration. And that might be that things are getting so hot, you better take those chains that bind you off and move. Meaning, move your perception, move your belief system, move how you're showing up. And I want to offer it this way, because with Aries being the warrior, Aries being the aggressor, Aries being my huge highway that runs through me, this week I experienced myself conscious as a Martian energy. I chose my battle, I chose my weapon, and I chose my demeanor. My weapon was silence. My demeanor was compassion. And my perception of the situation was it wasn't worth the war. And this is what I think the devil, because the devil backwards is lived. And Aries, it's time to live without this nasty old story everybody's giving you, because you're the fireman, you're the hero, you're the one that goes into that unknown situation and saves everybody's ass. There you go. It's been 5 weeks already, Stephen. Holy cow, I can't believe it. All right. Silence to me is such a powerful tool that we don't use, All right, here we go. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. My 26-degree rising is enjoying Pluto's square. It's so fun. Isabella, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation as you allow yourself to no longer be imprisoned by rules and dynamics that don't serve you. I do not think that the devil is a character that is holding me hostage. I feel like the devil is a collective energy that doesn't allow me to be me and expects me to follow a road that has been paved out for somebody else's benefit. I don't want to do that anymore. There's Teresa, the card of other people's opinions. There's Opal and worry about them. And then we have Serena, the money card. Okay, so I just got to say it. My Libra sun got the money card. And now my Aries rising is getting the money card. And I want to thank Spirit for that, because I need money. All right, here we go. Aries, yes, the timing is right. What is the timing right for? Partnership. And I want to offer this because I'm not thinking that this is partnership with another. I'm thinking this is partnership with whatever chains have been holding you back, whatever your perceptions are. Mars is moving towards Uranus at breakneck speed with the North Node there in Taurus. Something is coming. Now, I don't want to, while I know that there's a very big potential that Martian energy could show up in a very unconscious war-like way, as a conscious human being, I want to come in partnership with my sword, in partnership with the skills I have learned as a Navy SEAL in life or as a special ops person in life. Because now it's time to come into partnership with the peaceful warrior. because Teresa is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card, Opal's being joined by the deer, and Serena's being joined by the restriction card. So here we go. Teresa's about outside people. It's about worry. It's about other people's opinions. And it could, in some ways, be representing government for Aries right now. Capricorn naturally squares Aries. If you're a late born Aries, if you're a late born Libra, or you have and obviously we've been talking about Cancer. Pluto's making big aspects to you. We know that this week, early part of the week, Pluto and Mercury are going to be making an opposition. There's going to be a big conversation and what feels like a great tension. And I think that could be between the toxic thoughts in our head pulling us between can I or can't I? Am I powerful enough within my own life to course correct? Because the outside world is telling me that everything out there isn't going to be supporting it. Housing prices are going up. Gas prices are going up. War is everywhere. Children are killing children. I mean, the inundated information is overwhelming. So here we are. This is a time to allow my perception of other people and what's going on in the outside world to have a rebirth, to actually start to see a wisdom to this disruption, and not in a way that the world's falling apart, but that this is a renovation of some kind, and we are in the demolition process, and it's always dusty and murky and icky. But if we prepare and if we're strategic and we wear the protective gear, we won't have to experience the more negative sides of the demolition as we walk into the renovation. Because I believe for my Aries, God is watching over you, because he's God and the angels, source energy, all that is on this planet is asking you to start to implement a gentleness and a diplomacy with how you take action. And again, this is this feeling of a bigger picture. To be a hero, to be a rescuer, there's a fine line between a certain amount of process, knowing, the process of how to put out a fire or how to manage an emergency situation. And then there's a certain amount of instinct that has to be implemented during that situation. Because right now, somebody's smoking some serious weed right under my window. It's just coming in my window. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Right now, Aries, this is all about serenity. I don't even think it's about money. And there could be, we see Venus going into Cancer, and that naturally also squares Aries. But what I think is it's a time to stop and to really pay attention to how serene are you? How much are you in partnership with your deeper truth? Mars rules truth. How are you using your sword? Are you implementing gentleness and diplomacy as we walk through a time when other people may not be able to implement gentleness and diplomacy? Are you able to walk away from a fight versus walking into a fight? That's what I think is coming up. Because when I look at Mercury, I also have to think about my neighborhoods, my workspace, the people around me. This week, you may find that the people around you are more caught up in the fears of everyday life. I don't live in Los Angeles County, but the news has been talking a lot about indoor mask mandates coming back. So I'm assuming that there is the potential that people up there are really anticipating a lot more restrictions coming up. This could make people stressed out. So for my Aries, as we see this repressive energy of the devil coming up, we also have an opportunity to lift those chains from us and to go and to have inspired ideas. There's this inspiration here, and to feel bounty. So as I come into partnership with my own focus, and as I give birth to the idea that it's not my job to protect everybody else right now, but rather to implement gentleness and diplomacy as we walk through scary times. And my job is to really, really look at how much serenity can I have? How much? And that serenity is not just a trust in source energy, but also a trust within your truth and the alignment of your truth to a bigger picture. So, as an Aries rising, when I have felt concern about my home and that my home has sort of been under attack, not only by construction, but now monetary inflation, I have to go back and say, is the man going to take me out? I don't think so, because my deeper knowing is saying there's bigger hand involved here. All right. On to our Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Wowie, wowie. That's, if you're a late born Taurus, you got a lot of action going on with Uranus creeping up, hanging out. I think Uranus is at about 18 degrees right now. And then we have the North Node, I think, is at 20. And we've got Mars, I think, around 12 degrees right now, 8 degrees, 12 degrees, heading breakneck speed towards those two other points, which we will experience at the end of July, the beginning of August. So let's see your tarot card, Taurus. It's the Star. This is a very powerful card. It's not only a major arcana card, it represents the energy of Aquarius. There's also a certain amount of vulnerability we see as she is pouring her emotional body into two different bodies of water, one which seems almost as if there is not quite enough, and one that seems very bountiful. So I feel as if for my Tauruses, you will be implementing a certain amount of vulnerability as you are fueling an intuitive body that you may not be used to. And I say it this way because Taurus is a fixed sign. It's ruled by the earth. So while you're nurturing the earth in a big way, making sure that your garden is watered, there's a part of you that is watering things unseen. And it's time to give life and really see this golden star in the middle that is the dominant star as the others grow in bounty. And it also rules Aquarius. So there's an opportunity for a certain amount of liberation. There's a certain amount of being breaking free of something. Let's see what it is. Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, Janine. Well, there goes. All right. There's Bethany. Got to go get her. Hold on. I've had a little bit of a bad back lately, and I'm grunting as I bend over. A little bit not pleasant. All right. I'm going to take Bethany because Bethany is about self-care. And the last time a card fell on the floor, I pulled her anyway. So I'm going to think that's there. And I want to say this too, because Venus naturally rules Taurus. Venus is moving into Cancer. And Venus, I think, is a little insecure here. I think she's feeling a little bit vulnerable right now to home and hearth and to financial and material security. So let's see. There's Rochelle in the opportunity of the obstacle. There is Celeste in the angel's advice. And finally, Isabella. Okay, Taurus. Bethany's being joined by the partnership card. Rochelle's being joined by the cow. Celeste is being joined by the joy card. And Isabella is being joined by the water fairy. I'm going to kind of go there in a weirdly weird way because I think there could be many Tauruses that are either experiencing a new home or a new place of employment, or a shift within the home or a shift within the place of employment that's bringing in more tidings. So let me offer this. Let's go back to the idea of the star. The star is Aquarius. Aquarius is innovative. It's stretching for things that aren't quite experienced. They're things that are scientifically still in process of being proven or developed. And so to me, I'm coming here for my Taurus. This is your intuitive body. And while you have not completely developed it, you have been putting some energy into this, whether you realize it or not, and things are growing. So your vulnerability to a bigger picture of what you want is of major importance right now, because I believe that's what Spirit is asking you to come into partnership with, is your own sense of what you want to experience, your self-care, your sense of serenity, your sense of moving the story forward. And now I think this is the potential, and I think it's with a job, because I see bounty and nourishment, which is also what Taurus represents. And then there's following your heart. So as you almost want to live in a place that offers more bounty for you materially, it also will offer you something that fills you from an emotional place, because we see that indicated here. You know, Taurus will tend to look to its material resources and then determine if it feels happy and secure. And here we're seeing a transfer of power, where Taurus is still primarily focused on what it can see, but now it's also nurturing what it cannot see. So in this, here in the angel's advice, we see Celeste, which represents a shift in a home or a place of employment, and the joy card. So I feel like this is very powerful to be in the material world, but also it's going to change the way you're thinking. It's going to end up nurturing this part of you in a more earthbound way. You're going to give more life to this pot and how you've been doing this, because in the final position is Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. Happiness follows that expectation. And now I don't just see your emotional body, I see your intuitive body. I see being a Taurus moon. And I think my moon is very powerful in my chart as far as my emotional body. I'm very attached to my family history. I'm very attached to, I don't need a lot of very luxurious things, but I have a very specific way of the way I like to eat, the way I like to feel comforted. And I feel like when I get scared sometimes, I think, is all that going to evaporate? Am I going to be pushing a shopping cart? Am I going to have to go find a job to feel secure again? Because I have a job. It's just my own job. But as I come more and more in partnership with the truth of who I am and with my value, regardless of the opinions of other human beings in that moment of fear, I feel more and more trusting of my experience. So this last few months, I have been scared. My boots have been shaking, and I have felt the walls of my material home being rattled. And at the very same time, as I dig deeper and deeper into my intuitive and emotional body, I feel safe. So that's what I think is going on for Taurus. I think this is an opportunity to take that fixed earth energy and start to give life to your emotional body being as palatable and important as well as your emotional / intuitive body, and manifesting on that platform. So let your joy, let the things you love, let the Venusian dynamics lead the way. All right, let's go on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And then we'll finish with our Cancer, and we'll be done for today. I really want to offer the idea that throughout history, there have been groups of people who have thrived where logic said they should not thrive. And I believe that those were souls that were more aware of their source energy, connection, their dynamic to the law of attraction. And while they may have been under the physical veil while perpetrating this energy, it represented. And when we look back in history and we extract those people who thrived when they shouldn't be, then we can start to see how we can individualize our experience from everybody else's. And we don't need to go down the rabbit's hole. Okay, Gemini. We have inspired thought through the Page of Wands. This is very creative, very fun. This is kind of feels like the beginning of fire as we move into the Leo season. So, and your ruling planet is moving into Leo. So you could be very fired up about what you want to, I almost feel like my imagination gets stoked, my creative body gets stoked, my wanting to have pleasure and fun feels a little stoked with this Page of Wands. And I also want to say, keep your head up. Keep looking to the stars, look to the sky, because that's where all your inspirations lie. And I want to offer it here too, because unbeknownst to most of us, don't notice the growth that's way down here on this wand. So while there's focus up here towards the tip of the wand, there's always something here holding space for you. So let's see where we're going with this, Gemini. Our first angel is Patience. The second is Yvonne. The third is Grace and Antoinette. And the final is Ariel. So you guys, I'm really starting to have this moment with Mercury. I've been doing some research and preparing to do Mercury video, Mercury through the signs. Or did I do the houses? I can't remember, one or the other. But I've been concerned mostly about Mercury because Mercury has a very sort of neutral energy, just kind of running around the zodiac. And I don't feel like a lot of people pay a lot of attention to it, except in a Mercury retrograde, contracts, this and that. But we are absorbed in our thoughts all day long. And those thoughts are what we talk about. And that's why as Mercury, and I think tomorrow, Mercury's going to be in an opposition to Pluto, push, pull, in my mind, dark thoughts potentially coming up to undermine my everyday experience. This feels like the real malefic to me. I feel like the idea that my thoughts dominate my whole life experience. So sure, Pluto rules death and destruction, but Pluto moves slowly and it's generationally. So it's not always got its guns aimed at you, but Mercury's a personal planet. So Mercury running around gossiping and blasting on Facebook is going to be very challenging. So this is why I'm saying this, because we got to look up above all that nonsense right now and start to have creative action. And as a group of souls inhabiting a human experience, but at the same time aware of our soul's imprint, our soul's natural being, we are giving ourselves an opportunity to represent the evolved version of that, or at least the willingness to be an evolved version. Okay. Gemini, Patience is being joined by the Deer. Yvonne is being joined by the Bee card. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Horse. And Ariel's being joined by the Disruption card. Well, it's very interesting to say, but I kind of get this feeling as I look at this too, that patience and gentleness and diplomacy, very interesting to start off with, because now I'm going back to the Mercury, your ruling planet. Are you observing your thoughts and being gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you observe the thoughts, the fear thoughts that are being stoked? The idea of the last couple of years, we've watched, so much of the media dominate challenging dynamics, we need to watch out for this. We need to watch out for this, and 2.0 this, and monkeypox that, and, younger and younger children needing, this kind of intervention in order to be able to go here. There's a lot of stuff being pummeled at us. So I feel as if, keeping your head up, allowing yourself to be inspired, regardless of what's happening. This card is dominant in its colors being in the lower chakras, the base chakra, the sacral chakra, and the power chakra, solar plex chakra. So I want to offer, again, this feeling of security being here, but that security comes as I allow myself to have inspired thoughts. This feels very mercurial, this little hat with the feather, and knowing that new growth is coming. So keep my eye on the prize, because right now there could be fear stoked from all the information we're getting. And I do think that more information will, as we see Jupiter go retrograde in Aries, as we see Chiron go retrograde in Aries, we're going to see wounds coming up. And not just wounds within ourselves, but wounds within our communities and how we interact with one another. And I say that because I can't help but think of the United States chart and the opposition to Mercury that Pluto is making. And then the idea that the fourth house is Aries for let me think. Sagittarius, I kind of look at it in Placidus for the most part. So I've kind of got a mixed fourth, fifth house there, but we're talking about children, we're talking about our enjoyment, and we're talking about our home. So I want to offer this for my Geminis. Your victory comes from your ability to be vulnerable, to having compassion for yourself as you start to move into a new direction. And the new direction feels like there's new growth and new inspired thoughts that will come. But before they can come through, there has to be a disruption of your mind and your fears and a connection to a bigger picture of things. And I want to offer it this way, because oftentimes the human will assess through their eyeballs the viability of a certain direction or a certain being able to manifest something, a new job, a new home, groceries, money, gas, whatever. And when we look around, we only allow our eyes to show a landscape. Here we have to look to the stars. We have to look to a more inspired dynamic of, if my thoughts are things, and I'm patient and diplomatic with my thoughts right now, as I'm aware that fear permeates the energetic dynamic of the planet right now. And instead of being fearful, I say, okay, Spirit, I'm vulnerable. I'm a human. So help me align my being energy to what I really want to experience. Then I'm going to start to feel that compassion is the new direction to go. Compassion for myself, compassion for my thought process. If we think about Gemini being the twins, there is an absolute feeling of partnership. There's a feeling of commingling my ideas. We could say that Gemini could go back and forth like Libra a little bit in assessing a situation, and all of that can be maddening in some respects. And that's why I believe that the disruption card has come with Ariel, because the divine disruption is coming from an intuitive place. When I look at my bank account, and when I look at my, if some people knew what was in my material world, they would be like buying me a shopping cart and saying, this is your new home, let's decorate it now. But I don't believe that. I believe that my thoughts are things, and my alignment will allow for the ebb and flow of my material resources. So I'm not going to hang my hat on what I see there, but what I know is my ability to grow things. And I'm going to have compassion for myself as I walk through the two sides of myself, one being majorly human and the other being not remotely human, but being an energetic being that is inhabiting a human experience for empowerment, to go under the veil of unknowing, to walk back and forth in the confusion of can I or can I not create, and then conquering it through divine disruption of my mind that only sees what's in the material. Not an easy place to always be. And I have to say, with Pluto making an opposition to Mercury this particular week, it may feel even more challenging, because you may find your mind really getting stuck in sort of a dark place. But when we're in a dark place, maybe that's time to close your eyes and allow yourself to see with your heart or with your intuition. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, our tarot card is the Queen of Pentacles. This is beautiful for my Cancers. Venus is moving into your sign. This would be Venus rules money. And this is the Queen of Money right here, Queen of the Material. And I want to offer this because we see in the card, we see this little character sitting underneath the chair, kind of in place. And there is, to me, this feels like a little cherub. There's little wings there. And then we also have the rabbit. So there's an opportunity to feel prolific here. We see even the rams. Do you see this little, well, I guess it's a goat. Ram is a goat, right? It's a male goat. Kind of. Isn't a ram a goat of some kind? Anyway, my point is this. We see a tenacity here, okay? So here within the material world, Cancer, your material world has an opportunity to feel abundant. Let's see how you're processing, because you may be feeling a little bit of that vulnerability that Cancer can feel. Yes, the ram is a goat. Thank you, Lucy Rose. I thought it was. I don't trust myself lately. I mean, I do trust myself, but sometimes, I just feel like my brain is a little Swiss cheesy. I don't have enough outside stimulus, I think. I need to do more crossword puzzles. Okay. Here we go. Cancer. Ray is our first angel. The second is Crystal. The third is Athena. And the final is Astera. Oh, okay. A ram is a type of sheep. You're right, Juan. You are right. It is a sheep. You're right. Thank you for educating me. Okay, Ray's being joined by the love card. Crystal's being joined by the water fairy. Athena's being joined by the focus card. And Astera's being joined by the novice. All right. So, when I think about the idea of the fourth house of Cancer, it's the very bottom of the zodiac, the lowest point. In some respects, we could think of it as Atlas holding the whole zodiac up. And it's a feeling of on some level responsibility, but for nurturing what is not seen. The lower hemisphere is all about what isn't seen in the public eye. So here, I feel like this is for my Cancers, is to assume a position of authority, also assume a position of a queen in the respect of I receive my bounty as I align to my bounty. And I have the tenacity of the ram. I want to say that the tenacity of the ram to keep, butting my head up against a situation that is, I want to put it this way. Butting up my head is probably not the best way to refer to it, but an endurance, a tenacity, almost a Capricornian energy in I'm not giving up, because here's the love card and there's my connection to the angelic realm. It's where your power comes from. And I want to offer it this way. This feels like it has to do with self-love. It has to do with Cancer looking and saying, you know what? Everything that has to do with home and hearth begins with me and my ability to know that I am provided for at all times, not only through my focus, but also through my momentum that I already have built up and my connection to spirit. Because Crystal is saying, have faith and hope, there's more on the horizon, and it's time to use your intuitive body. One of the things, we're going to have a Leo new moon on the 28th. And before it hits Leo, it's going to roll right through Taurus and through Mars and through the North Node and Uranus. And I bring all this up because the moon rules Cancer, and there may be this anxious energy going on as we hit these points. And we have this, there's unconscious people who could be warring Mars. There's this voracious energy that's, the North Node or Rahu. And then we have Uranus blowing things up out of nowhere. So what my point is this is about time to start to trust your emotional body and to go dig deeper and to push your focus in a way that says, I know that in order for me to truly feel the security that I want to feel, not only for myself, but for those that I love and those that I nurture, it's time for me to go into my nurturing body, me first. It's like getting on that plane and putting the oxygen mask on myself first, to know that as I care for myself on an intuitive level, on a co-creation level, on a level that says this physical experience is not the only thing. This is a physical experience my soul is having. And it's also the platform for all the future physical experiences that I will be having. So I'm going to reach for the stars and have this unstable new beginning of trusting a bigger picture, that everything that I need is coming. Everything I need is here, and it is my attention to it that helps support it. One of the things that I said earlier is that Spirit has been bringing me signs and omens that I am in a place of financial safety, that they've got me. And yet when I look at the signs and the omens, there is this fear that's running through them that won't let me completely take it in. It's almost as if my brain is saying, I see that I'm supported, but my heart is so mirrored and marred by my brain that it won't let my heart take it in. It's as if the human part of me says, well, Spirit, if I don't have this number in the bank, then I don't feel secure. And Spirit is saying, you have that number in the bank when you align with us. Then the security comes into the material, because when it sits in your emotional body where you can't quite see it, touch it, or taste it yet, it's your job to assert yourself and see your focus in it. And you will be doing this over and over again throughout the next few years as the physical plane readjusts. But your connection to the angelic realm, your connection to the energetic part of you. Let's take angels, let's take God, let's take any sort of warm, loving, people feeling energies. Like when we talk about Archangel Michael, it feels like a specific energy. Let's take the blanket of source energy, that everything is just one big sort of blanket. As I look at that blanket and I say that blanket is primarily warm, fuzzy, and cozy. And what my job is not to focus in on the worn out pieces of that blanket, but rather in the viability of that blanket. I start to change my own experience and therefore represent down the line to others. I hope that made sense, because this to me is about Cancer feeling materially secure, comfortable, and cared for. And the only other thing I want to say about Cancer is that as Venus moves into your sign, the other thing that may come up for you this week and throughout the time she's spending there in Cancer is, how are you nurturing yourself? How are you perceiving your worth? And if you look outside yourself and then determine that from looking outside, you're missing the forest through the trees. It comes because you're looking at what you have done. If you look at this character, she's not looking out over the bounty of the land. She's looking directly at herself, and she's wearing a red dress or a red garb, which is your base chakra. So as you have the tenacity to stay tucked in to how you nurture yourself at a base level, more and more evidence will come into the physical world to match that. Okay. That's it for today. A lot more stuff going on. I don't know if you guys had a chance. I did a video about America's astrology, and I'm very kind of fascinated with it, because as I saw that the transiting Jupiter is squaring the natal Jupiter of the United States chart, it made the rulings of the Supreme Court recently made more sense to me. Not the rulings themselves, but why they happened. So I think I'm going to delve into this a little bit. My consistency is not really fabulous right now, but your patience with me is appreciated. I have so many ideas, and Saturn sitting on my Chiron is making implementing them a little more challenging than I'd like it to be. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for this week. I'll be back next week, again, live 11 a.m. Pacific time with Traversing the Transits with Teri Hunters. And have a great week, everybody. It's going to be a little bit choppy. So, do that media diet. Pay attention to your focus. Focus on things that you love. Be gentle with yourself. If you like a hot bath, you like a sauna, you need to go swim in a lake or an ocean, put your feet in the grass, whatever it is, take care of you. And if you take care of you, you'll be sending a great ripple effect out to the world. Oh, Sun Love, thank you for showing up. I didn't see you before. Welcome to the room. And now I'm going to say peace out, everybody. I'll see you next week.